This is actually karma, or quite surreal when you think about it, because I'm about to talk to Razor, who is a teammate, and that is me. And where the frickin' heck is he? Where is he? I tell you what, Razor's signature's on here somewhere, but I can find mine. It's quite clear, and I always try to take the common ground. There's Robbie Deans. Razor's in there somewhere. There's Steve Hansen, Mertz, Robbie Deans, and then there's Darren Shand, our manager. A lot of what I'm talking about, these guys have gone on to accomplish great things in either coaching or manager or done things in rugby. Incredible to think about, really. Guys like Aaron Major, he's been a head coach. And now we've got an All Black coach in amongst that jersey as well. I wonder how pissed off he's going to be that I'm sitting him next to a Blues jersey over there. I might see if I can get it off the wall, actually. It might be a good idea. Champ, good to see you, mate.
Good to see you in the pub, mate, this time of the day.
Oh, it's unusual, isn't it?
Early morning, yeah.
Just before midday. I like it. Hey, look, what's your best side? Where do you prefer to sit?
They're here for it.
I'm thinking about my own profile as well.
Yeah.
But equally, I came here and scoped it out before you got here. I was here nice and early because I want to do a good job, you know. And unfortunately, there's a Blues jersey there that I tried to remove it, but yeah, it's pretty bolted in there. So I think maybe you sit there and
I'll take the All Black jersey back. My man of the people. It doesn't matter the colour of the jersey. It's the
beautiful.
Player, the player I'm looking for these days, mate.
I like his style, mate. I was actually having to think about this interview and thinking about how far we've come. When you think that we played together, you came from Bay of Plenty into that Crusaders Canterbury environment, and then I was thinking, you know, you with your playbook.
Yeah.
No, not many people know about the playbook. So Razor used to get teased a little bit about his playbook, but he had this little book that you were basically using as a tool to think about the game, weren't you? So, like, at that time, did you always think that you wanted to be a coach, even though you're still playing? Because you had this playbook that you were not infatuated with, but it was part of your...
It was, yeah.
It was like a uniform.
Yeah, iPads now, but the sort of Smithy, when Smithy first came in, good to see you, mate, that's great, we can do this. And so when Smithy came in, you know, the amount of information, he had more stats than the census, you know, you didn't know what was going on Smithy. So I sort of just simplified it and got it into my little book and made my notes, and, you know, I'd draw the backline moves, you know, the two less forwards out in the back line, and the little plays off the back of the scrum that we used to have. Yeah. You know, the 1-2, the one we used to go but never pass.
That's
and
the one,
basically 8 carrying, but it was 9. And so, look, it was a part of me at that stage, you know, like I would always get to training early, go and see them and sit down thinking, what about this, what about this? Yeah. And they'd take it on or not, but I felt like I was adding to the group and still doing it now.
So was that for your own reinforcement in terms of homework, or was that thinking about having that when you finish playing and then move into coaching? Where is that playbook?
Oh, mate, that's a good question, actually. Somewhere in the attic.
But that stuff could be valuable information to somebody if they got their hands on it.
Well, it goes so quickly too, Marshy, the game, the sport, and each week, and you've got to be, like, there's nothing new, it's just everything's sort of slightly copied and plagiarised and edited a little bit. And so, you know, you'd pick something up, it's going to work against them, and I was just sort of doing a bit of editing myself. And the connection piece with Smithy, as you know, how detailed he was. We complemented each other quite well, my creativity and his detail. And, you know, like when we had Peter Sloan and the Colin Coopers of the world, they enjoyed it. They're different. They thought differently. They're more people person, and I was more, look, this is on field, and I'd be trying to make calls, and I wasn't the caller, and just make up the move, but don't call it. So it was good. You know, he had Mertz and all those moments. But it's just my part to add to the team. We're not here to reminisce about our feats of the past, but, like, I saw you when you were playing for Perpignan, like in France, and I was playing for Montpellier. Yeah.
So we'd kind of transitioned in a similar environment there. I ended up in France, living the dream. How good was that over there?
Euro to Euro was great times. Yeah.
And I caught up with you there, you know, and that was awesome. So the next time I see you, now this is really surreal for me. It really is. And whether you remember it or not, is I come back to New Zealand. You've already come back.
Yeah.
And then I get a message from you to come down and play for Sumner.
Yeah.
But you're not playing.
No.
So I walk into that changing room and you're standing up the front in front of this whiteboard. Like, and I'm sitting there like, in the thinking, man, this is really a mind flip because, well, I think I was 36 at the time. You're younger than me.
Still had it, mate. Well, parts of it.
Well, we were playing the panel beaters that day, weren't we?
Yeah,
New Brighton.
New Brighton, yeah.
And but, like for me to have, obviously your transition's already started. Because that was your first step into coaching the club side, Sumner in Christchurch, yeah?
Yeah, we, was it Division 2 or Division 1 at this?
It was Division 1, man.
Yeah, it was back.
The big time.
Yeah, we had a good run to get Division 1.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. Thanks for coming down at that time, mate. Mate, there's a yellow card, and I think you only got one of them that day. And it was the guy pulled his jersey over your head, and you came out swinging, and the ref tried to marginalise it. You kept going, and that's why you got the card. But anyway, yeah, that was the start. Because Sumner's a big part of my coaching career. You know, the stage I came through all from club to New Zealand 20s to all the way through NPC and Super, and obviously, but you learn your craft in that. You know, you learn your craft. You're trying to motivate guys that are digging footings during the day and paying mortgages and new bubs, and now you've got guys that are elite, you know, get at the highest level, want to be World Player of the Year. So you've got the disparity of players, but they're all people. You know, you've got to connect with them and inspire,
So you had your vision, you had your focus, and look, it's well documented. You did your due diligence, you went through the system, incredibly successful with the Crusaders in Canterbury, and then you reached the ultimate, the All Blacks. Hi, how's it going?
So I have a drinks menu.
Oh,
and
perfect.
I have a food menu. I'll let you guys have a look, and then I'll come back to see you.
Thank
I
you.
like your style. Oh, hey, a drinks menu here, mate. Is it?
No, jeez, mate.
It's too early for a beer? Okay, all right. We've come a long way.
No, you have.
Oh, good to see. What I wanted to talk to you about, because it fascinates me, being a former All Black as well, you know, being an All Black, being a player, then all of a sudden, what was it like when you walk into that first team meeting and you're not a player, you're a coach, and you're addressing the players in a way that a coach addressed you when you were an All Black? How was that feeling?
Oh, it was awesome to be back. It was pretty surreal because you do all your preparation, you do it ready for you. You know, like I'd coached how many years before I got the job? I think it was like 16, 17 years professionally before I got the All Black job in some capacity, but you're still a little bit, and then your body is always sort of getting yourself ready, and you play the story in your head, what you're going to say to the group, but just that natural bit of tension. Once I got going, I was okay. I was really clear how I was going to shape the group and what my first messages are going to be for them. But it's not like your debut. You know, you're not running around in all these thousands of people, but you want to make a really good impression. Once I got rolling, I was fine. But you still just, it's like always, it's sort of like every test, everything you go to, there's a little bit of unsure. That's the great thing about sport and the jeopardy of it. You're not sure what's going to happen. That's what excites me. Those moments, you know, normal part of life, nothing really keeps you on edge and the unsureness of it. So I love that. I've got used to those first moments. Got used to, you know, the test in South Africa last year and those bigger stages. My focus is creating a team so that team environment they can perform at the highest level. So that's how my mind goes. It's all about the team first.
That's a good segue for me, creating a team. Because my experiences and obviously being in the changing room with you, but watching you coach and talking to players, that you've got a really good mind for the game. You're technically got a real appreciation for what rugby's all about. So you all of a sudden have to select a team that is going to be able to implement what you want to do as an All Black coach. What's that process like?
Yeah, you've got to be really clear. We talk about, as you know, our DNA, the way we play is we play fast, highly skilled, type 5 that can tip and then hook. They can, you know, throw long balls. We've got guys you got great utility factor. They, you know, it could be a loose forward or a lock or vice versa, you know. And you're looking for players that are really good at their first job, the craft. So let's look at front rowers. Let's be specific. They're great scrummagers, but they can play deep to the line, tip, hook, or got a good footwork and bump, get through the line and create quick ball. So, yep, you're in, Terrell.
Yeah.
You know, he can do that.
Yeah.
They don't always have to do their job in the structure. Someone might be better at cleaning, someone might be better at passing, someone might be a carrier. So you put them into their shape, but their core role, their number one thing is what you pick them first for. Well, they're good at their craft is scrummaging, line-out throwing, kicking, and then you build the game around with their strengths there. And look, if they haven't got part of it, you can adapt.
Yeah. So when you came in, there was a perception that this was going to be a fresh start, and that you were going to do what you do, which is create a culture, but equally create a new style, possibly the way that the All Blacks will play.
Yeah.
You know, so do you go into those first test matches of that year under that pretense that's what you want to achieve, or are you a long work in progress?
Oh, look, you don't have 10 days and then expect to
Hit that peak.
change. Oh, mate, it's just impossible. You haven't got a pre-season, you know. And you've got to. The key part right from the start is give the simplicity, so they can keep their feet moving. They've got a free head of mind, so they can just go and play. So and as the season went, we got more and more creative. We had most line breaks, we had most offloads, we had most defenders beaten, but we just didn't finish. So what we were creating got more and more. We just didn't finish what we could have, and our discipline wasn't as good as it should have been.
When you think about going into that role, and then all of a sudden there is a loss, and it's not just the Canterbury Crusader franchise area that are a little bit annoyed about a loss. The entire country wears it. How did that feel? Because you have to adjust, don't you? You know, like, because the country cares, not just a region.
Everyone cares, mate.
Yeah.
Everyone cares, and everyone's got an opinion. Like when you're the head coach of the country on your national sport, you're going to get everyone to give you feedback. That's part of the job. You sign up, expectations are expect feedback, accept selectors everywhere you go, accept things. And look, you do so much right and you might get a couple of things wrong. Look, your job's to focus on the couple of things wrong. You know, most people see that. Like, I've got to see the stuff that goes really well. How can we improve? How can we be better? That's the only constant in our game. How can we, but own it if you don't. Like, you don't always get it right. Like, just like a player, just like a coach, you make a call and then you make some great calls and everyone goes, oh, that's really, really well done. Yeah. You know, but you've got to trust your instinct on it. I think that's the key thing that I've learned along the way. And stay your course. Things might quite go your way because, look, the margins are smaller at Test footy. You get skills tested at the highest level. You know, it's mentally and physically so tough. You've got calls from the referees that might not go your way. You might get a bounce of the ball that might go your way. We might be playing incredible rugby and get an intercept away. Or a tap back against Argentina and they scored just before half-time. And, you know, tries that have scored from no missed tackles. It's not even effort. And the ball bounces, that changes, and all of a sudden the game. So that's what you've got to prepare your team for, you know, yourself as well. You've got to put it in context. You might not have got that right, but stay course, keep on it, keep everyone focused.
So what do you like in the coaching box when those situations are going wrong? Like, obviously, the bounce of the ball, a referee decision or whatever. What's Scott Robertson like? How are you going? That's okay. We're going to be well behaved because it is before midday, so I think you're going to have a coffee.
A coffee, please.
Coffee, no problem.
And I'm going to have a Coke, please.
All the strong stuff.
Thank you very much. Cheers. And I don't know if we're sharp enough on TV to capture you when you might have a moment, because we haven't yet, but you seem to be reasonably, I wouldn't say relaxed and chilled, but you're not overly animated in there. Am I wrong, or...?
So, like, let's use Mbongi's try. That wasn't a try, that was a try.
I know the one.
These are prime examples. Ellis Park, first test, we're out by 10, I think it was at 27.
I know exactly the situation.
Great
it
footy.
frustrated me, to be fair.
You get frustrated easy. But at that moment, you know we can watch it. It's not going to go up on the big screen in Ellis Park.
And
Just never
super sport and
nothing.
control, mate,
That's
not
right.
Sky, you know. So it's nowhere near the big screen.
So our analyst is always checking that stuff.
Yeah.
He'll be sweeping away. It's a knock-on, Ray. Sweet. I get a knock-on. I go straight down to Scooter, get to Andrew Brace, and then Sasha at that stage was saying a kick. And remember, he went too long, the kick?
Yes.
So over 30 seconds, and Scooter comes up to him and goes, can you check the knock-on from Bongi? He goes, no, we've got the kick. He's over the 30. And he goes, no. We're not worried about the kick, we're about the try. He goes, nah, I'm not talking about the kick, he's missed it. And anyway, so there's a confusion around which one.
Yes.
Where we should have gone to the AR. Scooter should have got to the AR, talk to him, get through so that the guy upstairs can see it,
And
the
then
TMO.
and he'll go check.
Because you've got to the kick-off.
Sure. Oh, have you? Yeah, okay.
You've got to the
Not
kick-off.
the conversion.
The conversion's done.
But you can still...
the kick-off is the next start of play. So, mate... Oh, that's when you see me ambling. Like, don't kick it off, D-Matt. Hold the ball. Hold the ball. And the rest going, kick. Oh, mate, anyway. And those are the ones I've got to be step ahead. So I can't get too emotional in that moment because I think what's next here.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it, to think of those pros... And a lot of the public or people don't see that. And the work that's going in to try and make a poor decision justified, you know, and to try and get the information down there.
Yeah.
It's unreal, isn't it? Here we go.
There you go.
Thank you,
Look at
Jesus.
that.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
I'll
that.
come and check on you guys real soon.
Yeah, cool. Well, again, let's think about that because it's a question that needs to be asked. You know, you're well into the season.
Yeah.
You've just played the world champions on their home soil.
Yeah.
Massively competitive, but the reality is you've lost 3 test matches out of 4. You're sitting in Cape Town, back at the hotel, perhaps having a cold beer, reflecting. What are you thinking at that stage of the season?
I look at it this way. You only create something through effort, and you only show effort if you care. So we had all those things in play. So I'm going, OK, so where do we go from creating to finishing?
Sure.
So what's our solution?
Yeah.
You can worry, like, we're 4-3. You had opportunities to win it. How do we do it? What's next week? Because you've got to get straight back onto it.
Yep.
You can't dwell. You can't carry that stuff around with you too long, Marshy.
No.
You guys do it for me. You're going to write the articles. You're going to talk about it and everything that goes wrong.
That's baggage you don't need.
I do not need it. So that's our own, you know, you've got to manage your thoughts quite clearly.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky or fortunate enough to be around for long enough to be able to do that.
Sure.
So I'm nice and clear. What's next? The players are going to look at me. I've got next leaders meeting to get to.
Yeah.
I've got to come in with solutions.
So when we talk about where you were last year and this year, and I've talked about how your mind is very good for the game and where we need to go to compete, not only compete, but beat those teams that are so close now that the global game is that competitive. Where are you looking to change the way the All Blacks play this year?
Well, you'll always innovate. Especially because you look at trends of how teams defend.
Yep.
You know, they're up and out. They're going to show them the back door. They come and press and check off.
Yep.
So you look at their defensive mate. So how can you break them down? Mm-hmm. And so this Test series, which we'll talk about, playing three times a row is pretty unique.
Yeah.
But then you'll go and play Argentina, who are a check team, front door check, and then you've got teams like South Africa will come at you up door and stop you from getting to the edge. So what skill sets required for that?
They're narrow in your attack, are they?
Yeah, well, what they'll try and do is not let you get to the edge.
Yes, yeah.
So you prepare, you innovate, and you get everything in place to beat the team that's in front of you in a Test match.
Yeah.
You know, like where you're playing, the conditions, the opposition is defensive, so your attack has to, and your defence always is slightly tweaked. You have your normal system, but you also have the variations to be able to beat them.
Yeah.
And that's what you do in the off-season. You know, you go back and you look at those 2 games in South Africa. What do we do really well? What do we need to do better? What's likely going to be next when we, so we're a step ahead when we play them again? Yeah.
So are you all for these, like Test matches you mentioned, 3 on the bounce, South Africa next year, like having that type of situation, whereas you're not bouncing from Test match to Test match, you've got one team in front of you, like you will for the French series?
It's unique. Your Test series is unique. It's probably the last time with the Nations Cup coming in that we'll play a team 3 times in a row. Mm-hmm. And like, those series are pretty special because, you know, you're playing someone again and again. You know, like it's not thanks, see you later.
Yeah.
And you know, there's in those games it becomes a little bit more personal. You know, like we've had a battle where it's head to head.
And both teams learn.
You both learn who's going to learn quickest. You go under the roof, so it's beautiful conditions to a tropical Wellington, depending on what we get.
Tropical?
Yeah. And then you go to the Tron. And so each week will have its own story, and you're playing. It's a great part. It's a great part of our sport. And then you go to South Africa. Like a tour's a tour.
Yeah.
And that's. Well, you did it. Was it '96?
Yes, 96. Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible. Like a challenge.
So 30 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it again.
Yeah.
It's like the Lions, isn't it? If you look at the Lions, we've watched a lot of them, what they've done and how they've picked and who they've picked and utility factors of their players, and gone, rightio, they picked 38, which is, we think, a little bit slim, which is fine. It's good. They want to keep them light and lean. I've talked to Andy Farrell about it. I talked to him around his why.
Yeah.
But when we go to South Africa, we're together and you know, you're playing URC team, you've got a test match, you've got to juggle back and forward and set you up perfectly for the next year for a World Cup.
The New Zealand rugby public in our history demands and expects us to win every test, not to, you know, stutter our way through to 2027 and then win the Rugby World Cup, because there'll be too much damage done, won't there?
Yeah.
So, so I know that you've got things to look forward to, but you've got to think about the now as well. So 3 test matches against the French.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to hear your memories of what it was like as a player to play against the French, and your memories from being involved in those test matches.
Yeah, incredible. We had 2. One was up in Stade de France, and we played so well, and then we got rolled the next week. Oh my goodness, they turned out like it was a different team, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A great French team, really connected, and really can be extremely dangerous, can't they?
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
And look, through that period that you and I played them, like, you're bang on. Like, man, they can be. They were super inconsistent, weren't they? Like, they're always tough. But they would have this tendency, and I mean this with the greatest respect, but the fact I'm not saying it in French helps, is they could drop their lip big time.
There's AI, mate. Translated like that.
But anyway, they could really drop their lip, and you get on top of them and they just go away. But then all of a sudden they could grow in stature like you experienced in 2000 and become a different outfit, a different team. And when their lip is not down, they just become this galvanised group. But
now it's different, eh?
yeah, that, mate, perfect.
Well, you know how they're going to play. They know how they're going to play, but you've got to stop them. Great kicking. Don't play anything in their own half. I'm not giving anything straight stitches away because everyone's seen it. You would have seen it.
Yeah.
Ability to kick and put pressure on you defensively and be disciplined. They're really clear, but when they hold the ball, you know what they're going to do, but you've got to stop them.
Does that change with Dupont being missing, though? Because he is massive in their kicking strategy, yeah?
Well, you know, look, they've had about 42 to 46 players at Gildias. He's done 6 years, Fabian. He's pretty entrenched. He knows the system. Everyone knows how it works. And, you know, they've got guys coming in and out. They've got a great 20s program and the guys are coming through.
Yeah.
So whoever they bring, they're going to be French and big.
Yes.
And they're going to be clear in how they play.
Yeah.
And they will want to beat the All Blacks. Awesome. They can be so emotional about something. Something means more to them than something else, and that's playing the All Blacks.
Yeah.
They find a reason. Well, they don't need to find a reason. The reason is because it's so historic. And they'll go back there. They just want one of those moments again.
Have you got a French jersey in the collection at home?
Yep.
Yeah, same. I got Fabien Gaultier's, actually.
Have you?
Yeah. How good is that?
Yeah, nice. I think I got Eric Chant.
Oh, mate, your brother.
I haven't. I just like saying his name. Champignon.
So quite often, mate, when you have chats or you get stuck in front of the media, and what they're doing is they're kind of asking you, but it's them wanting to know things that they think the public want to hear, or what they want to hear, or an area that they've focused on. But look, if I gave you the forum to say, mate, look, you know, what are you looking to achieve out of this season?
What does success look like? I create a team that's really clear in how we play, so they're really fast.
Yep.
Team that's really disciplined and love playing for the All Blacks.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
The results come off that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool, mate. But it's good chat.
No, thank you, man. Thanks, everyone.
No, it's good
Thanks
to
for
have you
opening
here.
up the pub too.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Good.
Yeah.
I am AJ Whitney's daughter. and he wanted to pass on his regards to you.
Oh, awesome. What a legend.
He wanted to say and remind you that his record against the Red and Blacks was Auckland 13 and Canterbury 2.
Okay, that's good. Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Thank
see
you.
ya.
Let's carry on.